Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am here again with another Hobby Hoppers Magic Makeup project, and this time it's for February 2023 and we're going with a Valentine's Day theme. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steph Williams. I'm a paper crafter and card maker from Queensland, Australia. And I am super excited to show you how I made this adorable card. To get started, I'm going to show you all the items that I used. So here is a stitched rectangle. I always use the largest one, and I'll be using that to cut some white cardstock. I've also got some Henry's ABC dies here. I've already cut them out of some black cardstock, and I've just cut a bunch of X's and O's. At this point, I didn't know how many I was going to need. The mice are still my favourite lawn fawn critters, and today I'm using Bubbles of Joy and Dandy Day stamp sets for those cute little characters. My sentiment today will be from the Simply Celebrate Hearts stamp set. So what I'm going to do here is just add some of those X's and O's all over my background. They're not stuck down, they're just loosely placed there. And I marked with my friction pen where I wanted these little holes to go. And I know this might all seem a little bit odd at first. This card has been in my head for years, to the point where I've made a template for it for my Cricut when I was making all of those shaker cards with my Cricut from a long time ago. But I figured I can just do it with a knife and keep things nice and simple. So all I'm doing is poking 8 holes here, and they're going to make like a tic-tac-toe game board. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. And once those holes are cut, I then move on to decorating this background so that it can dry while I work on the other pieces of this card. Today I'm using the Lots of Heart stencil, and I did notice it's not in the Hobby Hoppers store at the moment, but there are so many stencils that Trish has in stock that would be perfect for this. I'm a little bit sad that I don't own the confetti stencil. I think that would have looked really cute. Trish also still has the Conversation Heart stencil set, which is one of my favorites, and I'm a little bit disappointed I didn't think to use that one. The stars would also be perfect because you can do them in whatever color you want, so you could definitely do them in pink. There's just so many options for this. And as my mice and the X's and O's don't have any hearts, you could really use anything in this background. At first I was going to do just a simple splatter, but I thought the hearts would be cute because this is for Valentine's Day. And while I am doing this voice recording days in advance, I'm really excited that this will be going live on Valentine's Day. I'd love to know in the comments if you celebrate this day. It's a little bit funny because I don't really do much for Valentine's Day. After 10 years, my husband is finally getting into these events, and I know he's got me a Valentine's Day present, and I did manage to get him something this year too, but it has never really been a big thing for us. But as Trish and I often discuss around this time of year, we both love this holiday for the hearts, for all the pink. It's probably my favourite time to do crafting, other than maybe Halloween. But there's just something about the colours, the hearts, the love, everything being so cutesy. So I'd love to know, even if you don't celebrate Valentine's Day, do you still enjoy making Valentine's crafts? So as you can see here, I'm just doing some sprinkles all over my background to fill in some of those gaps. This background was probably a little bit loud for the images that I'm going to stick on the front, but I just couldn't help myself. I don't like having big spaces of white in my backgrounds. I feel like I do too many white cards sometimes. So I really wanted to add all of this colour. So once that was done and I'd set it aside to dry, I then stamped out my little mice. I'm only doing 4 little cuties this time. And of course, I've got that little tiny one in there. He is just my favourite and he's always getting up to mischief. Once I stamp them out, I'm then just going to colour them in a range of neutral grey Copic markers and some pink Copic markers for their cheeks and ears. And while I'm colouring, it's always the best time to talk about Hobby Hoppers. So if you're unfamiliar with what Hobby Hoppers is, it is a Melbourne-based online store run solely by the owner Trish. And if you can guess by the name, it caters to a range of hobbies. So while I'm obsessed with lawn fawn and I always grab my new release lawn fawn items from Trish, there are so many other things in the store. A few of my favourites would be the Nuvo Drops, hemp cords. She has an incredible range of washi tapes. Jelly roll pens are a must-have. And I've also recently ordered some of the Posca markers. I think I'm pronouncing that right. They're the paint pens and I'm playing around with them a little bit and will hopefully have something to show you with them very soon. I'll be sure to include the link to the Hobby Hoppers store in the description box for this video, along with all of the links to the products that I use from Hobby Hoppers as well. Now I did something a little bit weird with this card. I originally planned on having the sentiment down the bottom, and the grid that I'd cut out for my twine was a little bit higher. It wasn't centered, it was higher, and my sentiment was meant to go down the bottom, But then I had this moment where I thought it would maybe look better if I had the sentiment at the top. And so I had to turn my whole background upside down. So you can maybe tell that a little bit with the way the hearts are positioned. I feel like although the stencils can be turned in all directions, that maybe it looks like it's a little bit upside down, but we're just going to pretend it doesn't look like that because I really preferred it this way up. And so what I'm going to do here now is just slide some of these hemp cord pieces through the holes, and I'm going to glue down the excess on the back. Once I'd given them a moment to dry, I then added some double-sided tape to the back of this card front. And I'm doing this now before I go adding all my images on the front, so I don't squish any of those that I want to add a little bit of dimension to. Arranging my scene is always my favourite part of a card, but this one was really fun to do. I love setting it up like a little board game. So I've got this cute little mouse over to the right, and it's up to you whether he's stealing that piece or whether he's adding it in. I do think this sweet little mouse though is dragging his piece over so that he's included in the game. And unfortunately, that bit was out of focus because I had focused in on one piece to take a photo to share over on Instagram, and it locked on that focus. But here we have the rest of the pieces added, and then I'm going to put on my little mice. These ones I've added some little foam squares onto the back to give them a little bit of dimension. And those little hearts that I stamped out earlier, I'm just adding them around the little mice, so it's like one is blowing kisses to the other and they're making their way over to him. Once all those pieces are down, I then do the unthinkable and trim my little mouse. It is my least favourite part of making any card, is when I have to trim and cut up Lawn Fawn's cute images. After that, I'm then going to remove the backing to my double-sided tape and add this card front onto a card base. And for one final touch, I'm then going to use my white Gelly Roll pens, I'm using the size 1, to add some white highlights to these letters. And there we have it, this Valentine's Day card is complete. I would love to know what you think of it. Don't forget to check out Hobby Hoppers. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked how it turned out, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.